Here we
Okay,
go.
questions.
Okay.
Yeah,
Me-
we're starting.
The first question that we had was about
So we're delighted to be here with Carolyn McMakin today, the frequency guru.
Just call me
Yeah.
Yoda.
She's the Yoda, and
It's Yoda.
you know she really is single-handedly responsible for bringing this to the U.S. and all over the world, and primarily becoming an expert in treating pain and fibromyalgia, and then really blossoming and expanding from there. So, yeah, thank you, Carol, for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
It's always
and-
nice to chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, for those people who are just getting into exploring what frequencies can do and electromedicine modalities, could you talk a little bit about the history of frequency specific microcurrent? And
I
then,
already did that.
We just did
Right.
that for 38 minutes.
yeah, sure.
we need to
Maybe
ask
just a
questions
short
now.
synopsis.
The short
And
version.
then, if you could also a little bit how it contrasts with some of the other modalities out there. I've had people ask me, "Hey, is this similar to Rife? How does the Healy factor in?" So there's a lot of confusion
Yeah.
spinning
And
around.
neurofeedback specifically, I would like to.
And neurofeedback.
Yeah.
Okay, well, not too well versed in neurofeedback, but frequency medicine goes back to the early 1900s. 1908, there was a big interest in electromedicine. And so, like the frequencies we use in the frequency specific microcurrent came with a machine that was built in 1922. 1910, the Flexner report came out. There were no medical schools, there was no standard medical treatment. And the Flexner report said that drugs and surgery should be the way medicine goes. And by 1920, the American Medical Association said, hey, we were serious 10 years ago. Drugs and surgery is it, and anybody that uses electromagnetic therapies, homeopathy, herbs, and nutrition will lose their license to practice. So all these machines went into the back room, covered up with a sheet, went on the junk heap. Grandpa died. All of the research that these guys did between 1908 and 1934, when the hammer really came down, all the research, all the books are in the rare book room or on the junk heap. Nothing from 1934 survived, right? So that was actually the beginning. And the biophysicists stayed in the game. So the biophysics people really went to work in the late 30s, 40s, 50s, up through 1990s. And so there are frequency lists from all over and different technologies and different machines. So Rife didn't use sound. He didn't use electrical pulses. None of Rife's frequencies were electrical pulses. They were light. He developed a frequency-tuned light microscope where he could tune the light in the frequency in the microscope on the bacteria and find a frequency of light that would blow up the bacteria. So that's where Rife came from. He took on cancer. He was treating cancer with light and frequencies in light. He didn't teach, and he was waiting until he had 700 or 1,000 cases of terminal cancer that were cured. That's the word that I've heard. And so when the AMA, Maurice Fishbein, and the FDA broke into Rife's lab in the morning, he had one student with one machine in a different part of the state that they missed, and they took him out, destroyed his equipment, took his records. It was done. He didn't teach anybody. So that's why, and his frequencies are all in the light range. They're between 8 and 16,000 hertz. The Rife frequencies that you see on the internet or in these little electrical pulse boxes, my problem is where they come from. Rife didn't publish. FDA took it. His colleague, I think he was in California someplace, went deep underground. If the frequencies they're using now came from that guy, how'd they get them? Nobody talks about it. So there are people that the Rife frequencies help. Yay, and I am inherently skeptical. It's just like, okay, at least I know where mine came from. And that is also why my first step with FSM was to teach it. By the time we got big enough for anybody to notice what we were doing, at this point we're too big to stop. So I published papers, I wrote the textbook. As far as I'm concerned, the only way to keep something is give it away. So I've published most of the frequencies, and there are different frequency systems. So the Healy is a single channel device. Timewaver uses single channel technology, and they have lists of frequencies, and the Healy is this little single channel device. It uses frequencies from Nina. I don't know what the frequencies are. I've seen pictures of it. I've never met him, but Timewaver has been using his protocols for years, and so now they're available in the Healy. The Mac Healy has got our frequencies in 2 channels, and it's a different device. So resonance medicine, the challenge with it is just documentation. The effects are subtle and profound. It does something. How do we know what it's doing? There's 50 years worth of research that needs to be done to find out what are the frequencies doing. What do the FSM 2 channels do versus single channel? The frequency range, right? There's so many unknowns and there's so much research. I'm kind of I'm data driven. I'm a scientist, right? And it's, you do this and that happens, and you do this and that happens, and then you document it, repeat it, and if it happens again, predictably, reliably, always in the same circumstance, then you know what you got. So that's how I operate when it comes to frequencies. They have proven to be so powerful that I use fewer frequencies and I'm much more respectful. So it's pretty cool.
It's something you're able to replicate broadly. across the
And
board,
that's been the
so-
most important thing, is I can teach, well, there's 6, 7 of you. I can teach you how to treat nerve pain. It's 2 frequencies, 40 hertz on channel A, 396 hertz on channel B. If you have the diagnosis right, so if the leg pain really is sciatica and it's not from the muscle, it's not from the joint, it's not from anything else, it's simple nerve pain. You put a contact where the nerve starts, you put a contact at the end, you run 40 hertz on channel A and 396 hertz on channel B, and the patient will be out of pain in 30 minutes.
What about for like neuropathy? That seems to be a really common one.
Well, that's another interest. So diabetic neuropathies are not about the nerve. Nothing to do with nerves. They have to do with the blood vessels.
Right.
The blood vessels get inflamed, get sludged up, clogged up, and the blood supply to the nerve gets choked off, and then the nerve starts to die. And so in order to treat a diabetic neuropathy, you have to treat the blood supply. However, I just found out in the last 2 years that there's a whole different class of things that are diagnosed as diabetic neuropathies or peripheral neuropathies come from the spinal cord.
Wow, who would have thought?
Who would have thunk? And then there's a whole other class of neuropathies that we can't do anything about. If you are a 70-year-old vegan or vegetarian and you can't convert B12 from the inactive to the active form, so you have a gene and you don't eat meat, so you're not getting it in your diet, and you are B12 deficient, you will have pain in your hands and feet. I can do anything I want with current, you can do anything you want, not going to touch it. What you need is B12. You have to fix the cause. You have to fix the cause. So, yeah, it's fascinating.
Next question.
Yeah, Carol.
Next question. Sorry.
Yeah, so yeah, so one word that you brought up that's certainly near and dear to the discussion of frequency medicine is resonance, and certainly a title of your one of your most recent books, The Resonance Effect, and certainly one that we should all read and reread if we haven't already. So, could you please just talk a little bit about resonance and what it means to you?
Well, resonance in the physics form of it, in the physical form of resonance, if you put two tuning forks that are both tuned to 128 hertz, you stick them in a board next to each other, and you hit the one tuning fork with a little hammer, and it starts to vibrate. The tuning fork that is tuned to the same frequency will start to vibrate. You can still this one, and this one will be humming. That is resonance. It's when the frequency resonates with something and makes it respond in kind. So that's probably the easiest analogy. So there's the physical resonance, your key fob. So we were talking about Advil works like a key in a lock to change the receptor on the cell so that the cell doesn't make inflammation. That's how Advil works. It's a key in a lock. Well, we have a frequency that's like your key fob. Your key remote opens your car door. There are 5 Subarus in a row, and they're all blue, and you have a key fob, and your blue Subaru is the only one where the doors are open. That's resonance. It's because the key fob is tuned to your door lock. And so there's that physical resonance, and then there's the resonance that is why you guys are here. It's what calls you to be yourself, to be whatever it is that you're meant to be. I think that's resonance too.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and it's something that you can feel while you're treating patients as well.
Yeah.
Like instantaneous real-time responses in the
Isn't that
tissues.
fascinating?
Yeah.
It's so
The
cool.
smush.
The smush and the float.
And
It's
the
kind of like
float. Yeah.
when a frequency is correct, all of the soft tissue in the patient's arm, everything softens. It's like it just gets melty under your fingers, but in a good way. And the patient gets floaty, and there are times when the practitioner does too. So there have been times where I'll do something that is so dramatic for what is going on with the patient that I can feel it in my body. I get tears in my eyes, and it's just like, whoa, dude. It's we call it the dude effect. It's legal in all 50 states. It's temporary.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so you've been kind of quietly and not so quietly priming the world for, I think, a big wave that's about to hit.
I had to sneak up on him.
Yeah, for some time. So people that are joining, and there are a lot of people joining in, how would you suggest they get into this? Whether it's a clinician looking to bring this modality into their practice, or a patient looking to enhance their own wellness?
Thoughtfully. So it is a profound honor to participate in anybody's life or anybody's recovery or anybody's health. That is a privilege. And one of my concerns is that people that sell gadgets just want to sell gadgets. And that's immoral when it's something as important as this. So if you're going to get into it, be thoughtful. Why? Don't be talking to me about selling a gadget. Don't be talking to me about making $100 on a device. Think about what you're doing and why and how it will help the person that you're dealing with, and the money will come.
I've said it many
Amen.
times. So
Amen.
that's why
Beautifully
we
said.
are so drawn to this. And
Your spirit resonates.
Yeah, I'm just.
well,
I'm-
Marsha's never really done network marketing. I mean, we come across many people who haven't had network marketing experience, and they're just they really just want to help. And they're like in tears, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like that's who Marsha is. That's why I love Marsha,
Yay.
Nicole, and
And this.
my new friends.
New friends.
My new friends.
Yes.
So yeah,
that's-
it
That's my thing.
yeah, and I think
Beautiful.
you know where the next question is Nate, is where does she see this going?
Yeah, so
working
what is
with
the future?
Healy,
What are you
McHealy,
excited
where do you
about?
want to see this go exactly?
Oh my God. Well, that's a good question. 25 years ago, I would never in my wildest dreams ever have
Did you-
thought that we'd be here, right?
Yeah.
I just wanted to help people. I just wanted to treat patients and I wanted to teach people. And it turns out that what I need shows up.
That's the truth. Huh?
So when the door opens, it's like, really? Okay. And so you step through that door and you go to NIH and they do blood work and you go, and then you publish that paper. And then another door opens and Metagenics sponsors the seminars and you step through and you do that. And then another door opens and you start teaching. I started teaching in Ireland. And then somebody from Germany came to my class in Florida. He took me to Germany. Somebody in Germany, his name was Heinz Reinwald. Somebody in Germany saw that class, told somebody at Timewaver about the class. Somebody from Timewaver came to my class. You ready? This is the
way
best
life
thing.
works, though.
Somebody
Yeah,
from Timewaver showed up at my class in Las Vegas, terribly sick, terribly jet lagged. What are you doing sitting on the floor? Get over here and get treated. So I treated her, and the next year, that was February, May, June of that year, I was in Frankfurt lecturing for another group, and they said, well, meet us for lunch. It's like, okay. I had no idea who they were. So we had a conversation. We signed a memorandum of understanding, and it turns out to be Timewaver. Who knew? So they put the McMakin system in Timewaver Frequency, Timewaver McMakin. It's 2-channel. And the thing I love about this company is if you use the Timewaver McMakin system, every single program that has 40 in it, every single time, there is a pop-up that says, if this frequency increases pain, check with the physician and be evaluated for infection. And you have to click on that to get that to go down. Timewaver has been conscientious, they're organized, they're well structured. And when I saw the Healy, which is a single channel unit, I can't remember if it was 17 or 18. I think it might have been 18.
Year?
2018, I think. Might have been 17. Anyway, so I saw the single channel Healy, and at 10 o'clock in the morning, when I was going to lecture at the Congress, and I looked at the Healy and said to my Timewaver friend, can they make that 2 channels? And she said, I'll find out. That was 10 in the morning. 4 in the afternoon, I had a meeting with engineering and the software designer.
Yeah, that's right.
24 hours later, we had a progress meeting, and 8 months after that, we had a prototype. So that's the lineage. So the Healy had been around for what, 5-6 years. It's been around for a while. Oh yeah. They had been marketing the Healy. It uses new known frequencies, and I think they'd had it for at least 2 or 3 years. It's been around for a while.
Probably doing the traditional business model.
Yeah, sure. And then the regulations, the regulatory control of microcurrent devices has allowed them to become over the counter. And as long as they make no claims, and that's where the Healy started. And then the Mac Healy just rode on that tail. So it's got a CE mark. Multi-level marketing, honestly, I know you guys are enthusiastic, and it is a way to get the technology to patients. It's a little bit scary because enthusiasm overcomes prudence, and claims and false hopes create problems and loss of credibility. So frequencies are important. It's an important aspect of therapy and what is potentially helpful for patients. But because it's so important, it's important not to oversell it. This makes people feel better. The current by itself, if all you do is run the current, it increases ATP or energy production in your cells by 5 times.
So a few of the facts is that, 500% increase right there.
Yeah, just increases ATP, and it's like, okay, that's all good. I can do it, but that's good. So if that's all it did,
That's phenomenal.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it's phenomenal. Then if the frequencies do something in addition to that, that's even better. And then, so when you say, can you do this or that? I don't know. Can I help you? I don't know. We have to see. So we have pretty good luck with these things. Let's see.
Leave it at that.
Yeah,
And that's
good advice.
Yeah. So if we can improve your health, improve your life, make you feel better, that's a good thing.
So do you think Healy's really going to take off big time this year?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. It's like if the initial response is any indication, yeah. And so my staff at the seminar business and at the device distributing company, Precision Distributing, they're starting to batten down the hatches. We have to plan for when the neck Healy comes out. Healy will be, it will spread. Multi-level marketing takes 3 to 5 years. Quick ramp up, then saturation, then it kind of quiets down after a while. So that will get people used to the concept, the frequency of do stuff.
That's super exciting.
Then the neck Healy comes out. Yeah, well, it's just
Word of
it's
mouth.
an interesting world, and it's just it'll be interesting to see what you guys do with it. Having the ethics of it, I actually don't care about leadership. I don't care about sales. I care about ethics. Be prudent. Be respectful. Think about what you're doing and why, and what a big honor it is, and everything else will take care of itself.
Exactly.
This said Dr. Mom.
Good
We're just really happy to have you with us. It's just so
thank you.
happy that we're able
I'm
to
happy
connect
to
and
be
meet
with
you all.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks for coming to talk to me about it, because I wouldn't have found out that much about Healy, and it's really nice to be able to talk about the difference between the Healy and the Mac Healy. It's all resonance, but it's
The price point of the Healy, where do you see that coming in roughly?
beats the heck out of me.
Oh,
I don't
sure.
even know what they're gonna charge for it. It's like the Mac Healy, I don't know what
Probably
that's gonna
double.
cost.
Two
I don't
channels, 500 to 1,000
know.
maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, and the price will get lots of people into it, which actually increases your level of responsibility when it comes to not making claims. So you wanna see trouble?
No.
When you, yeah, like seriously, when you are dealing with healthcare products and the regulatory system, the only way you get into trouble is making claims. And if somebody gets all excited and enthusiastic and says, oh, this will do this, this, and this, don't have that surgery, do this, this, and this, and it's like, whoa. It can turn around, even in this political climate, it can turn around faster than you can think about it. It happened in 1934, it can happen again. And my job has really been to keep us on the right side of the regulatory authorities, because I'm in it for the long term. That's what I'm about. It's the long term. So be prudent now, and you'll still be here in 50 years.
Well, companies like Beamer are still around after how many years they've been around? You know, the
I don't know.
PMF technologies and stuff. And so-
20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we definitely have a role as leaders to protect it and watch out what our people are saying and stuff.
Well, I really appreciated in your book how you're very
specifically you said that you never talk about frequencies and the device together.
Nope.
I loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as a way of protection.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was great.
Because the devices are regulated
Yeah.
as long as you don't make claims, the frequencies are not. And it doesn't take much at all.
Right.
If you think about the power of the pharmaceutical industry,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't take much at all for some pharmaceutical company to talk to people in Congress and have them pass a law that says you can't use, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
treat.
absolutely.
and we,
That's what we moved to.
yeah. So
Yeah, excuse me.
it's enlightened self-interest.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm excited about what you guys are going to do with this, because you're going to soften the ground for the Healy,
Oh, yeah.
and it will be interesting to see where it goes, what it does, because my goal actually in writing the resonance effect was to create an idea in the collective consciousness that resonance therapies and frequency therapies can work. Right now we have an idea in our collective consciousness that willow bark as an herb and aspirin as a drug, those are anti-inflammatories. Our collective consciousness has a biochemical way of looking at the way the body works and what we use for creating health. There is no biophysics collective consciousness yet. The resonance effect started it, and I think Healy is going to create the idea, if it's done right, it will create the idea in the collective consciousness that frequencies have an effect, can have an effect on the human system that is beneficial. So that's what I see as the explosion. That's the next 20 to 50 years of medicine.
So what are your thoughts of like Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton? These are guys that I want to see talk about collective consciousness come and get involved, because they're all talking. It just seems like a massive awakening taking place right now with people talking about raising our vibrational frequency and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jim Oshman has been lecturing. He wrote Energy Medicine, the Scientific Basis, wrote the first edition in 2000 and something, and then the second edition came out in 17, I think. And so Oshman, Lipton with the biology of belief, and I've been trying to get Lipton to lecture at our symposium for 10 years, and he's always in Africa when we
Call
do
us
it.
Bruce.
When we do it in February.
What about Dispenza?
I don't know.
You know Joe Dispenza?
I don't get out much.
Oh, I will send you some information on Joe Dispenza. He's from Washington State, actually.
Okay.
So he's...
Yeah, he's in Olympia.
Yeah. Okay.
There you
No, it's
go.
a good place to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's all basically the same. It's the same arena, just different perspectives on
For sure.
how the same stuff works. So
But I just see Healy really, we're going to make such we're going to get this out to so many people. It's going to be such a culture that we're creating right now, and, thoughts from different professionals that come into this that I don't see a reason why the wheel has to be reinvented again. We've got the frequencies, we've got the devices, and the strong, the wonderful people on the board of our company, the financial backing. Like we've really,
well, and the biophysics of it has been around for 100 years. So
We just got
Ever
sidetracked a bit.
Georgie, huh?
So we just got sidetracked a bit with pharmaceuticals
Well,
and surgeries.
It's, you know
which
what?
is good.
But there is
it's not
a
everything.
reason that God invented augmentin. There is a reason that God invented general anesthesia and appendectomies.
Absolutely.
I don't want people to be treating acute infection with frequencies. It's ridiculous. It just can't be done. The frequencies aren't big enough or complicated enough. It's not safe. So I live like this.
Yes, they need to
1
come together.
foot in
Yes.
each world. There is a place for everything, and the mistake comes when you think that one or the other is the only way to do it.
Yep.
There is a collaboration.
Absolutely.
So when I treat somebody with frequencies, there will be a percentage of the time where there's medication I recommend, nutrition I recommend, physical therapy I recommend, some other thing. It's a partnership. Integrated medicine is integrated, right? So
Absolutely.
there you go.
Awesome.
We can do this.
Absolutely.
I think that's all the questions for now, just to kind of keep this brief.
No, you put in a quarter and you get,
I'll come down and see
it
you
just
soon.
comes down.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming. I'm really excited
Thank
about
you
what
so
you guys
much,
are gonna
Carolyn.
do.
Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
so welcome.
very
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank
Thanks
you.
for being so patient and
Wonderful.
waiting.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah,
We
you're welcome.
learned so much.